Hi everyone, my name is Sujin. I'm from SMK Lake, Bau, Sarawak. Today I present to you a textbook analysis. It's the current Form 5 textbook. We want to find its adaptability of English Download V1 Plus for home-based learning due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The outbreak of COVID-19 leaving 1.6 billion of children out of classroom. Likewise, my suburban students are also out of school and not learning full basic due to the internet inaccessibility. On the other hand, my students are very dependent on the teacher for instruction. You can see 95% of them are without internet access, 5% with very unstable internet access, whereby 100% of them have the textbook, but they depend on teachers. So I can see that most of my online learning become a one-sided show. Well, underneath my one-sided shows, I have discovered a lot more problems about the entire online learning. I see the interruption of formative assessment amidst the reformation of pppm, which is Malaysian Education Blueprint from 2013 to 2025. This is when the adoption of CAFR began. No internet and low teaching learning quality. So what's the solution? I see also it causes high escapism among the students, delegating low impact exercise, because we can get to see them, the student can't get to see me on live. Even if I could, it would be done a very minimum basis because I have to reserve the internet data for other more important subjects for them, and whereby with little enhancements of the content knowledge and language skill. This I refers to the four skill, and of course interruption of the classroom formative assessment. Lastly, loss of enthusiasm in learning in classroom dynamic, which was carefully built up a year ago. So let's have a look at the PPPM, the adoption of CFI in Malaysia, which also in line with the Malaysian Education Blueprint. Well, in stage 1, you can see it is highlighted in red. This is the year where the upskilling of school teachers was done, as well as a baseline study. In stage 2, ever since 2015, the implementation of CAFR has begun and it has ended last year. And in stage 3, which is now, the evaluation, the reviewer, and the revision of implementation of CAFR. We have come to the stage because we want to find out how successful we are, or do we fail. Well, a potential threat was claimed of using imported textbook and local textbook and international textbook. It is an endless debate. Though no doubt it is agreeable to have dynamic content in the textbook, having a mixture of Malaysian cultural context and a little bit of everything else of the world, the global culture, and the identity would make English textbook beneficial, according to Dr. Suridapal Kaur, a Deputy Dean of the Postgraduate Studies at University of Malaya. He said that, well, when it comes to look at our very own textbook, these imported textbooks are being introduced even before we have analyzed its effectiveness locally. So will the CAFR textbook lead to a revamp in our current curriculum? So here, there's a blanco here. So will it lead to any changes? So is the current book good for us in or out of the pandemic? This is yet we have to find out. Apparently, it leads clearly to our research question. That is, what is the role of Form 5 English textbook during the course of home-based learning due to the pandemic? And it clearly defines our objective. This research aims to analyze the adaptability and the role of textbook in complementing home-based learning. This is the look of the textbook. So what's the role? Is in hope to empower the use of textbook, but before I could do it, I need to evaluate uh, the book according to a reliable textbook checklist, and to find out what's the perception of teachers and the students. So this is the research methodology. I use a quali-quanti, a mixture of quali-quanti approach. Stage 1, I use a textbook evaluation checklist as developed by Mukundan and his team. Second, I conduct a Zoom interview with fellow students and teachers, and a questionnaire, whereby they will be asked to fill in a Google form. And lastly, is a thorough observation, the checking and the marking of students' homework. By the way, the homework comes in a form of a filing system, which I have tried to implement since last year. I'll talk about it more later on. So coming back to the textbook, what are textbook evaluation checklists that I'm talking about? It is a proven and reliable checklist as developed by Mukundan and Nemichi Salem in 2011, but refined in 2012. It is chosen for its systematic evaluation due to its superior key quality found. It is constructed in Malaysia to fit its context of the study. And of course, it has been put to stringent tests and refinement, and it has been proved to be of high quality by at least 207 ESL experts. And it is very economic because it's shorter time needed to complete, around 20 minutes to do so. And of course, it is adopted with no iteration made to avoid exclusion of important questions as well as inclusion of the trivial one. According to Mukundan, language teaching material can determine the quality of teaching learning procedure. In its checklist, consists of two general attributes and the teaching learning content. In the general attributes, we will look at the methodology, suitability to learners, physical setting, and the utilitarian, efficient outlay of supplementary material. Whereby for the teaching learning content, it covers general, the 4 language skill, vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, as well as the exercise. Ta-da! Yes, the finding 17% in full agreement, 58% agree, and 25% fairly agrees that the B1, the download B1 CEFR Form 5 English textbook is suitable for ELS learner because it is compatible to the age and the needs of the learner. So let me show you some graphs. In the teaching learning content in general, so I got feedback from my teacher respondent about the learning and teaching content. First, the descriptions here. That half of them agree that the tasks in the textbook move from simple to complex one. You can see here, half of them have come to a full agreement. And in the second bar, half of them also agree that the cultural sensitivity has been considered. And the third one, language in the textbook is natural and real. Right? 17% fairly agree that the language is natural and real. And the fourth bar is a balance of 50-50. They agree fully and fairly agree that the situation created in dialogue sound natural and real. And last one, though half of them strongly agree that the task objectives are achievable, even though sometimes they may need to adapt the material to suit the learner's language proficiency, but overall it is still workable. Okay, based on the interview question, does the textbook help students who are under or overachievers, meaning those who are yet in the B1 band? The answer from my teacher respondent is mostly a yes. And you can see most of their reply is over 60% with the term and condition that the textbook can help the students who are under or lower, who are under or overachiever with terms and condition, whereby the background knowledge must be in. Well, I think it makes pretty much sense. Okay, now introducing my student respondents, some demographic background. These are the indigenous people. They call themselves Bidayu, who make the majority ethnic group in Sarawak's population. And they are born and raised in the suburban of Sarawak. 70% of them come from B40 family, 30% are from the B20 family. Now for the B20 family, they are mostly the children of school teachers and a few of other government civilians. And 20 of them are female, 10 female, and these are the 17-year-old twins. And they score B1 lower and some upper CFR band. So overall, my student respondent has given some very interesting feedback about this book in general. What's the impact on them during the course of HBL? Well, they said in agreement that this book is very commendable. They like the self-explanatory grammar notes and the exercise input does help them a lot. However, they require a game session would be introduced or should be introduced to kill boredom, and it elevates somehow learning related stress and motivate learnings. And the general textbook layout. So being a millennium, they generously or they dare to say that the textbook should come in a more handy and a more trendy magazine look. So I suppose something like a magazine, which in the book it does require more group work as compared to the current one. Okay, some graphic. From my student respondent, they have indicated that the sufficiency of the book, 83% said that the book is enough to help them learn on its own. And in terms of the methodology, do you like the approach the textbook is taken to teach you? 87% will say yes, they love the approach. And the suitability to the learners, is the textbook too hard or too easy for you? Almost 100% say the book is just right for them. Okay, some more graphic for you. Learning teaching content. Are the 4 skills of reading, writing, listening, and speaking equally covered? Well, we can see that more than half of them fairly agreed that this book has sufficient input for them. And I think that would justify why they request a game session or some more fun activity to make the learning more interesting. And secondly, the efficiency layout of the supplementary material are the audio-visual in par in terms of the sound quality, speed delivery, accent. We can see that 43% of them agree that this is up to par. And lastly, I would like to draw your attention to in terms of the preparation for examination. Does the book do so to prepare you? Well, we can see that a very minority of 10% will say, I'm afraid no. The book does not really prepare me for examination. So they will mostly top up for other sources from the supplementary book to help them better master the exam question. And 53% will say that yes, the book itself is sufficient for them to sit for the exam. In order to close the gap, I think these interventions are very essential. So yes, I'm aware of the loss of interest and the enthusiasm in learning. So what about some small group accountabilities? We need to sell them the idea that teaching them the idea of resilience is all that they need in the learning of the end times. So first, you are responsible of your own learning, but here we are to help you out. Small group accountability. It is done in a micro grouping to promote esprit de corps, where there is a feeling of pride and mutual loyalty shaped by the members of a group. So I guess this is brutally killed by the new norms, where my girl students can't hold hands, eat together, or not even gossip. Number two, hopefully they can evolve in all purposeful project-based learning. So this promote a deep engagement in the content knowledge they learn, in collaboration with peers while deepening critical thinking and communication. So finally, when all is done, they will begin to take responsibility of their own learning production. Here I mean the English language file. Last year I've introduced a filing system, and I hope this one will be in full enforcement by this year end, when I conduct a regular checking on their homework production, and this will add quality and value to their homework because they have begun to take full control and full responsibility of their own learning despite any circumstances. Okay, just now I talked about formative assessment. It is an assessment of learning to help learners learn and practice better. When to do it? It is throughout the course of HBL. So even when we are allowed to resume, the schools are allowed to resume, it will be done in a fortnight plan. Why do we need to do this? It is to identify gaps so that we can improve learning. And who are involved? All 30 of them in a group of 5. How to do it? An appropriate approach will be carried out to support the students' needs. Yes, I know students love quizzes and Kahoot, but these are all needed online. PBL, it is a love and hate thing because it is time consuming. But students do like the rapport, the idea of getting together, and to introduce an extended research whereby more reading with internet service, students will love it. So this is my intervention timeline. Hopefully when the school are allowed to resume in July, so gather feedback from the observation of homework as found in the language file, and I hope students will do necessary improvement. And in the month of September to October, this is when the micro grouping start to take full swing, and extended research based on Unit 9, getting away from the book. Also from this unit onward is something about traveling. Student will do a presentation on this. In November to December, towards the end of this year, it is time for a more serious thing. I mean the SPM, but it is definitely a serious fun. And next year, in the month of January to February, this is the final countdown to a more serious thing. This is when our candidates will sit for the public. Okay, for more reading recommendation, if you are a literature person, please read up my Google site on pedagogy, passion, and purpose. And if you are a literature person, I hope this will elevate your reading pleasure. Okay, finally, here's the contact info. For more question and information, you can contact my school. This is my school address, my school number, and my personal contact number. And do drop me an email if you would like to have more chit chats. And I enjoy having you on board for the past 20 minutes and so. And do not hesitate to ask me anything or to give advice. I appreciate that. So thank you very much for your time. Bye.